Hey guys, I want to talk to you about something a little deeper, a little more intellectual today. I love having these sorts of talks with people and just using these sorts of things to try to jar people's minds into a little bit different thought track, let's say. And that's definitely the aim of today's talk. And this came up. I've had these thoughts for a long time, and I've certainly thought about this before in the past. And I'm sure maybe you guys have too as well. And the topic at hand is just the general consideration that maybe our lives as we're living them is like all just part of some big giant simulation, right? Pretty abstract, pretty far out there sort of concept. Maybe the real world that we think we have is not necessarily all that it's made up to be. Maybe it's something very different. Maybe it is nothing more than just a big simulation, like kind of like the movie The Matrix. And I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast last week, and he was having a sit-down talk with Elon Musk. And I know Elon is in the news right now. Some people hate him, some people love him. So I'm not talking about Elon Musk. I don't really have an opinion personally about Elon Musk to begin with, but just the topic of conversation really fascinated me, and they both got into it, and they were just sharing their thoughts and ideas about whether or not we were actually in a giant simulation, whether or not our lives as we thought they were nothing more than just you and your brain and your mind and your soul is just plugged into this big simulation of some sort. And the reason why I thought this was fascinating is because I always think in these terms, and this is just the charge and the challenge to you guys today, is that I think there's something to be taken away here above and beyond just the going back and forth about opinions on that piece of subject matter in and of itself. But just I want you guys to think about what if, just imagine for one quick second, what if it was one big simulation, okay? What if it really was one big giant game? What if all this stuff was just a big illusion and you were just plugged in, like the same way you might plug into your video game system on the weekend or whatever, whenever you're doing what you do, whenever you're playing whatever you want to play, whatever sort of life you want to leave in this online or video game realm, let's say. What if that was really the case? Just entertain that thought for a split second. And the reason why I think this is relevant, and this is the only point, the only message today, is just how would you live your life differently if it was a simulation, okay? And even if you don't believe that it's a simulation, what if you could just start living your life as if it was one? What if you could just start applying yourself in a different way? What if you could go about this world in a different manner, acting as if? What if it really was a situation? I just want you guys and girls to think about what would you do differently? Would you be a little bit more ballsy? Would you go after different things? Would you conduct yourself in a different manner? Would you go about your life in a wholly different manner as opposed to the way that you're doing it right now? You're probably playing it safe. You're doing all sorts of different stuff that might be holding yourself back from amazing things. And that's just the mindset shift that I'm just proposing to you guys today. Is what if you could just apply a little bit of this in your life? Just pretend like it is a simulation. What would you do differently? Who would you go out and talk to today? Who would you approach today? What sort of business would you start? What sort of adventures would you get yourself into? Which sort of different things would you do with your life if it really was a simulation? And I think this is an important part that all of us, as we go through our lives, there's always going to be these challenges, these times we need to apply ourselves more. We need to be a little more brave. We need to do things in a different manner. And I want you guys to think about that today. How do you go about things when you're playing a video game, when you're in the online space and you're in the online realm, and everything's imaginary, everything's made up, that specifically is a simulation, right? How do you act in that sort of instance, right? You act in a completely different manner. You conduct yourself in a wholly different way. And I'm not saying that you need to go out and take life-threatening risks and do absolutely insane things and hurt yourself and subject yourself to dangerous situations, let's say. But I'm just proposing it to you that what if you could apply a little bit of this, just a tiny piece of this mentality and mindset, regardless of the fact whether you believe in it or you don't. But think about how you would go about your life differently and try to do some of those things as if this was one big game or one big simulation. Be a little bit more brave, okay? Take your life by the balls and do some amazing stuff, okay? Who knows? At the end of this all, maybe we're all gonna sit back and look back at our time on the earth and realize the reality for what it was? What if it really was a big simulation the whole time along? And what if you had some regrets about things you wish you would have done differently in your life? Okay. But if that really was the case, guys, like, just think about what you would do differently and try to do some of that stuff today, tomorrow, in the next year of your life, over the course of your life, whatever it is. Okay. Just trying to jar your head into some sort of different frame of thought. That's all I'm trying to do here today. So that's all I've got for you. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.